go.
Well, it's pretty rare, David, that you see a fighter and knows how to swim in deep water.
Right. Well, I'll tell you, you know, when you see a guy walk into the ring, you know, like Pitt, that already has a bruise and a mouse under his eye. I got to tell you, ladies and gentlemen, you don't want to get into a fight with a guy who already has. Because you already know he is ready, willing, and able. That, you know, it's like I don't want to park next to a car that's already dented, right? So they don't mind crashing their car. You know? So I give them all the room they need.
What an analogy!
I give them the right of way. On the road, we're driving. You see a guy, you know, he's trying to get over, and his car's already dented. I let him go. He doesn't mind hitting things. So no.
And that's exactly what we've got here. Well, in red we have Kazakhstan, Danиял, Rайымбеков, and then in blue, representing Wales very proudly, Daniel, Thomas Pitt. And a slow start here, as they just try to work each other out, gauging that distance. Pitt in that southpaw stance, just trying to throw that jab and then try and makes his way in with those shots to the body, and he throws that straight left hand very well.
As you see the mouse on display there for Pitt. But if I am Rайымбеков, that's exactly, I want to start slow like this. Not that I have time to waste, but you're in there with a taller guy who is a southpaw. So that's a lot to digest, you know, so you want to collect a little data before we get to it.
Nice and light on the toes is Pitt. And Rайымбеков just judging that distance as nicely as he possibly can. And that was clever from the man from Kazakhstan as Pitt made his way in. He kind of just held on to him on the referee's blind side and then landed a couple of shots to the body, but nothing which was going to cause Pitt any problems. There's a good straight right hand there from Rайымбеков.
Exactly. You know, like I said, you know, want to collect a little data. You don't want to take a round off, but you want to take a minute to see, you know, exactly what you're going to get from Pitt. Again, the longer boxer, a southpaw, and then he moves a lot. He's on his toes a lot. So you really need to find out what you're working with when you get in there with a guy like this, especially if you're unfamiliar with him, you've never seen him before this week. And I think Rайымбеков, you know, making these adjustments, collecting this data on the fly, I think you see his output and production, you know, tick up as this bout goes on.
You do, and that's one of the things which you get with these championships and with the Olympic amateur style of boxing is not like you can watch hours and hours of tapes of previous fights and so on and work them out. And a lot of the time you don't know who you're fighting until the day before. In a lot of these international tournaments, you've got to be ready and willing to fight anybody at any time. And that's why the really good ones at that are very successful. And we have two good ones here in the final from Wales and from Kazakhstan as well, as both fighters come together and the referee's going to have to split them up because it certainly wasn't enough action. But Rайымбеков lunges in with that right hand but gets tied up again. And this isn't necessarily messy, is it? But we could put these two in a phone box and I reckon they'd still have a few feet of space around them, wouldn't they?
They would, and I tell you what, I like what Pitt is starting to do here in the latter stages of this first round. He picked up the offense toward the end of the round and landed
when they're in on the clinch.
You know, maybe I saw something that maybe no one else saw, but I actually felt like based on the way things were going at the end of that first round, that Pitt might actually have an opportunity to, I don't know if I want to say stop, but let's say, you know, become much more dominant in this contest.
Close action once again, even though Pitt is throwing straight shots. He threw a double jab and then a straight left hand to the body there, but then he gets caught with a long right hook by Raymbekov. And the two of them become tangled up once again. But I don't necessarily think it's either of their faults. It's just the way that the fight is unfolding.
Well, I think when you have both boxers that are trying to show a certain degree of aggression, you're just going to have those times when we come together where we clinch, you know, and maybe the clash of heads, especially when you're talking about, you know, the conventional stance versus the southpaw stance. And then, of course, you know, the front foot gets tangled at times as well when you have those situations. So there's a lot of moving parts and a lot of things happening in this contest. But right now, I like what Pitt is doing a little bit better.
I like the style of Pitt. He's got a bit of everything. He's not a one-trick pony, that's for sure. He can box some distance, but he's quite happy to get in there and box on the inside as well, as the two of them come together. And Pitt just takes a small step back with his left foot and then throws a straight left hand on his way out, which landed.
It seems like he's actually more comfortable boxing inside, and I don't know if that's just because of this particular matchup.
And that's quite strange, isn't it, for a rangy fighter as well?
He's passing up the opportunity to throw punches in range and rather choosing to get inside and do what he's doing right now. He's ahead on the cards after the first round, so I can't argue with his philosophy. You're getting the result that you're looking for in that regard, but at the same time, you know, maybe taking more of a risk than would need be, but if it ain't broke,
don't fix it.
Absolutely.
Well, we're going to the last 45 seconds here of the second round in this our 8th bout of the afternoon, going into the early evening by the time we finish this, and we've had some great matches so far.
And that's what I'm talking about right there. You saw the clinch holding on by Raymbekov. He absolutely could have gone down from that straight left hand from Pitt. And like I said, I didn't want to go so far as to say a stoppage, but I don't think it's off the table. He has connected well to the head of Raymbekov, and he does again right there.
And Pitt throwing those uppercuts when he was on the inside there, which looked like that was exactly the instruction from the Welsh corner team at the end of the first round. And that is the sound to symbolise the end of the second round. On our monitor he looks a bit frustrated, and Pitt comes out of his corner bouncing on his toes and raring to go, but the referee is just stopping the action for a moment. I think because he's just got so much water over him and there's a slip danger or slip risk there. But here we go, back to the action. And again, there's a bit of a push there, wasn't there, from Pitt? It
was, you know, Pitt doing the, you know, using the shoulder and forearm, you know, to shove Raymbekov away. But I think the fact that he went down on that shove, it wasn't anything that was necessarily egregious, but it tells you that I just don't believe that Raymbekov is exactly as steady as you would like to be at this point. And I think this is the result of the accumulation of the damage that he has taken in this bout.
That was a really nice straight left down there from Pitt. It was textbook stuff, and just as Raymbekov made his entrance on that straight line, he made him pay for it, straight down the middle on the nose, and that would have made his eyes water, that's for sure.
Absolutely. And then he touches him again right there as he backs away. And also, let's not underestimate the value of the amount of shoulder that Raymbekov has taken from Pitt when he comes inside as well. When they come together, it's shoulder first. And if you pay attention to it, you'll see that Raymbekov, you know, has got popped quite a few times, you know, with the right shoulder of Daniel Pitt.
He has, and just as you said that, another jab got through from Pitt, which landed on the logo of the head guard of Raymbekov, and it snapped his head back. And every time you get caught with one of those, it's got to take a little bit of something out of you, hasn't it? Because every time if you're eating jabs, he's got to do psychologically something which damages your confidence in the way that you try to land going forward next time. But he's still in this fight, he's still going towards Pitt, but not having the success which he needs, in my opinion, to be getting the points on the scorecard, but walks straight into yet another straight left hand.
He does, and you're right. I agree with that maybe not having the success that he wants, but still boxing, still coming forward. He's still in this contest, and you can tell he hasn't decided, well, I've got the silver in the bank, so, you know, hey, it's not going my way today, no big deal. That's not what he's doing. He is still coming forward. He's still engaging, and he's still trying to win this bout. And you have to have so much respect for Rайымбеков and that team for Kazakhstan.
Well, 30 seconds to go, and surely the man from Wales will become the under-19 men's 85 kilogram world champion. He'll go back to Wales with that medal. I think he will anyway.
You know, can you imagine the feeling that must be, you know, coming, you know, all the way here, you know, from Wales, you know, not the largest country in the world, you know what I'm saying? So you're not traveling with the same level of number of coaches and teammates and friends and family. And so you're almost on an island when you come to a tournament like this from a place like Wales. And for him to leave with the gold, can you imagine what that must feel like?
Well, we'll find out in a moment. But that semi-final which he had was extremely close. I was sat just a few feet away over there watching that one, and he looked a very, very happy man when he got the decision on that. So if he does end up getting this decision, he's probably going to jump and hit his head on that ceiling.
Well, he's going to get the decision. You know, that's absolutely going to happen.
The winner on points by unanimous decision in the blue corner, from Wales, Daniel Thomas Pitt.
Well done to Daniel Thomas Pitt. Yet again, another shutout.